All right, diving right in today. And this one might be a little sensitive for some folks. We're talking erectile dysfunction,
Yeah.
ED, and specifically the link between what you eat and how you, well, perform.
Right.
Are there really magic foods that can, spice things up in the bedroom?
No, I'd say probably not magic, but the
Okay.
link between diet and ED is definitely real. Millions of men deal with this, by the way. It's way more common than people think.
And it's not really talked about that much.
Exactly. Which is a shame because, honestly, it can be about a lot more than just what's going on or not going on. In the bedroom, I mean.
Okay, so unpack that a little, because that's what we do here on the deep dive. We connect those dots.
For sure, for sure. So think about it. Erections, they rely on healthy blood flow, right?
Makes sense.
But that same blood flow, it's crucial for everything. Your heart, your brain, the whole shebang.
Oh, interesting.
So sometimes ED, it's kind of like a warning sign.
Like, hey, pay attention.
Exactly. Could be your cardiovascular system trying to tell you something. Now, you mentioned magic foods earlier.
Right, right. Are there any?
I mean, there's a magic bullet. I haven't found it.
Okay.
But
No.
there is some really interesting research on this.
Okay, like what are we talking about here?
So two things pop up a lot. One, the Mediterranean diet. You've heard of that.
Yeah, sure.
And then there's this thing called the Alternative Healthy Eating Index.
Catchy.
Yeah, right? But basically, it boils down to lots of fruits, veggies, whole grains, lean protein, all that good stuff.
Okay.
And studies show men who eat this way tend to have a lower risk of ED.
So, pretty standard healthy eating advice then, basically.
It is, but it gets more specific because within that, there are certain foods that seem to really move the needle.
All right, so spill the beans. What should we be eating?
Let's talk about what I like to call foods to fuel your firepower.
I like it.
Starting with something you probably already have in your fridge. Leafy greens.
Leafy greens, okay.
Spinach, arugula, even just your basic lettuce, all packed with nitrates.
Nitrates, that sounds kind of intense.
It does, right. But here's the thing. Your body, it converts those nitrates into nitric oxide.
Okay.
And nitric oxide, that is key for blood flow.
Nitric oxide, no, that sounds familiar. I feel like I've heard that before.
It's like nature's Viagra. Relaxes blood vessels, lets more blood flow through. Good news for everyone.
More blood flow, good for, well, yeah.
Pretty much. This is all about getting things moving, right?
It all connects. Okay, so leafy greens, check. What else is on the shopping list for firepower?
Next up, protein.
Okay, protein makes sense.
We're talking poultry, beef, fish, even dairy and legumes, all great sources of this amino acid called L-arginine.
L-arginine, right?
And guess what?
What's that?
Another nitric oxide booster.
Oh, so we're really going for it with the nitric oxide here.
We are. If you want results, you got to give your body the tools it needs, right?
Okay, leafy greens for nitrates, protein for this L-arginine. Anything else we should have in our arsenal?
Oh, yeah, we've got flavonoids.
Flavonoids.
Yeah.
Okay, now remind me, what are those again?
So flavonoids, those are like super antioxidants, really good for your blood vessels.
Okay, and where do we find these?
You find them in some pretty tasty stuff, actually.
All right, you got my attention. Give me the goods.
Well, get ready for this. Dark chocolate.
No way, seriously.
Seriously. The higher the cocoa content, the better, actually.
Hold on, so my little treat after dinner, that's actually doing me good.
Let's just say it's for science, right?
Yeah.
In moderation, of course.
Right, of course. Everything in moderation.
But hey, it's not all about chocolate. Nuts are really good too. Almonds, walnuts, pistachios, those are your friends.
Okay, so chocolate, nuts. I'm liking this diet plan more and more. Is there like a theme here? What makes them so good for this?
It's all about that blood flow again, keeping things moving. And hey, speaking of, let's not forget about tea.
Tea.
Yeah, like black tea, green tea. They've got flavonoids too.
Huh. All right, so we got our leafy greens, our protein, dark chocolate, some tea. I'm feeling healthier already.
There you go.
What about fruit, though? Any superstars in that category?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Tomatoes, watermelon, even guava.
Interesting. Guava, really?
Yeah.
What makes it so special?
They've got this thing called lycopene. It's an antioxidant.
Lycopene, that's ringing a bell vaguely.
Yeah, so lycopene, good for your blood vessels. Studies show that. And get this, some research even says it might be good for sperm health, too.
Wow, double duty. Speaking of fruits that seem to do it all, though, got to mention avocados, right?
Right, they're like the kings of the produce aisle, and for good reason. All those heart-healthy fats, potassium, vitamin E. Your heart loves that stuff.
And what's good for the heart is good for, well, everything else. We've covered that.
Exactly. It's all connected.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good list of things to stock up on. But I'm guessing there's also a do not eat list, right?
Yeah.
Things we should avoid.
Yeah, unfortunately there are. And, we got to talk about the big one, sugar.
Sugar, yeah, figured that was coming.
It's everywhere, right? But too much sugar, it leads to weight gain, which can then lead to diabetes, and both of those, bad news for ED.
So it's like a triple whammy, basically.
Pretty much. And it's not just sugar. Those high-fat meals, especially if they're full of unhealthy fats, those can clog your arteries, make it harder for blood to flow.
Yeah, we know how important blood flow is by now.
Right. It's all about keeping things moving. So yeah, watch the sugar, watch the unhealthy fats.
Yeah.
And then there's alcohol.
Ah, yes. Everyone's favorite social lubricant. Where does that one land? Good or bad?
It's kind of tricky, alcohol. A little bit, like a glass of wine with dinner, that might actually be good for your heart. But too much, that's definitely going to work against you and could make ED worse.
So moderation, moderation, moderation. It's like the theme of a healthy lifestyle, right?
It really is. And hey, it's important to remember, food, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Right. Like what else should people be thinking about when it comes to this?
Well, we touched on it a bit, but maintaining a healthy weight, that's huge. And then there's exercise. Your heart loves that. What's good for your heart is good for, well,
It's all connected. And I imagine stress plays a role too, right?
big time. Stress can mess with everything, including your.
Right, everything. So finding ways to manage that, exercise, meditation, whatever works for you.
Exactly. Take care of your mind, take care of your body. It all matters.
Yeah, it's really about taking care of yourself, the whole package. And, on that note, I think it's important to say, if anyone listening is dealing with ED, don't hesitate. Talk to your doctor.
100%. Couldn't agree more. I mean, it could be a sign of something else going on health-wise, and they can figure that out.
Right. It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Right.
And there are treatments out there. Right?
No, absolutely, yeah. Medications like Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, even this newer one, Stendra, they've been really helpful for a lot of guys.
So there are options.
Yeah.
Always good to remember that.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive, to say the least. For me, I think the biggest takeaway is, wow, everything really is connected, huh?
Isn't it?
Like we think about heart health, sexual health, even mental health, all these separate things, but
Yeah,
they all play into each other.
totally. What you eat, how you move, how you deal with stress, it all adds up.
It's like that saying, you are what you eat, but maybe it's more like you are what you do consistently.
Love that. It really is about those daily choices, right? The small stuff that makes a big difference over time.
Exactly. Well, on that note, I think it's time for our final thought, something for our listeners to chew on. What do you have for us this week?
All right, so think about your own life, your own routines. What's one small change, just one, that you could make today that would make you a healthier, happier you? And not just for the bedroom, but for everything.
It's about taking that control, right? Making choices that serve you.
Exactly.
Because when you feel good, you can live your best life, no question. And that, my friends, is the power of the deep dive.
Until next time.